A very good morning, good evening, good afternoon, my friends, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Whatever place it is that you are tuned on to the Life Signatures Radio, it is a daily show where I talk about purpose, productivity, and resilience. I am so incessantly believing that these three are the pillars of life for every human being. Everyone can have purpose, everyone does have purpose, but everyone can be productive and everyone can be resilient. It is up to us. So we need to be equipped in all these ways. That's why I'm giving you some kind of booster, some kind of inspiration, some kind of motivation, some kind of idea, some teaching in those three areas so that we can be able to boost ourselves up and be people of purpose, people of resilience, people of productivity. Today we're going to continue talking about work, which is into those, actually it's in those three realms. Work is in the realm of productivity, it's in the realm of purpose, it's also in the realm of resilience. If your work lacks any one of those three things, your work is going to fall down to the ground sooner or later. But we're in the series where we've been talking about the different ways work is exemplified, and so that we can be able to test ourselves and see. We've been talking about work in the form of ruling. Let me give you a recap before we get started.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So we have said that work is exemplified in different ways, and one of those ways that work is exemplified in is through creation. That one of the facets of my work is to create. And we've said that you can create through innovating, you create through inventing, you create through research, and so on and so forth. But there is an element of you creating, co-creating with God. Please just go back to those episodes and check them out. Secondly, we've said that your work is going to be exemplified through growth and increase. There's got to be an element of growing and increasing. That through you working, something is growing. Through you working, something is increasing. And in turn, you are growing. You are also increasing. I mean, just imagine you doing work that doesn't involve that facet. Imagine you're doing work that there's no growth. Like I remember one of my mentors who is now working as a big-time MD in the Kenyan government. He told me that when they were the National Youth Service, they used to have these instructors who would just give them an instruction, and the idea behind the instruction was not to make sense of the instruction. The idea was to obey the instruction. So he will tell you to wipe the floor, and you wipe it spotlessly clean, and then tells you to wipe the floor, the same floor which is spotlessly clean. He tells you to wipe it. It's like you're doing that work. There is basically none. There's no growth in the work. You're not increasing the work. I mean, there's no growth in that particular work that you're doing. And so if you find yourself that that's the only thing you're doing doing repetitive work that doesn't have an element of growth, doesn't have an element of increase, it's a curse. Sorry to say that. And then the third thing we say that your work is going to be exemplified through going global. That you work as an element, if you work as an element of work, life's work, and you're passionate about it, it takes care of itself organically. People start noticing, people start seeing that you've owned that particular thing, and they start identifying you with the work, and the word goes round. And today in the world of technology, before you know it, your work is global. Global doesn't mean that every one of us, 8 billion of us, recognize your work. It just means that there are different people in different sectors of this world, different areas of this world, whose problems you are solving with your work. Okay, there could be 100,000, but they are scattered around the world. That's global. Okay, and then we are talking about your work is exemplified through ruling. And we've really gone deeper into this in the past 4 episodes. And I need you to, if you want to understand this, just go back to those 4 episodes and check them out. So we ask this question: how exactly is it exemplified through ruling? How are we going to do this? How are we going to make sure that we are ruling through our work? Number 1, find your purpose. We talked about this yesterday, but today let us talk about this. Number 2, find your territory. Find out your territory. I'm sure you've come out of school and you've been looking for a job and you're so desperate, and they ask you, what kind of job are you looking for? And your answer is very genuine. It's childish. Okay, it's not childish, childlike, which is a very good thing. And you say, give me anything. I am willing to work. I am willing to be deployed anywhere. And we normally laugh at people, especially those of us who are motivational speakers. We normally laugh at people who give that answer. We say, you're supposed to say, I was born to be an accountant. Give me an accountancy job. No. At the initial stages where you're entering the job market and trying to find your footing, it's a very good answer to say, I can do all things or I can attempt all things, or I'm available to do just about anything, because it's a foot in the door and you start navigating through and so on and so forth. But you don't stay there. That's the problem. You don't stay there as a person who is doing everything. I know in this day and in this age we need to stretch ourselves. The designer needs to be an analyst, and an analyst needs to be a designer and all that stuff. But there's an area that we need to identify and say, this is my mountain. In terms of work, my mountain is motivating people. It's inspiring people. It's equipping people. It's people. Or someone else can say, my territory is business. It is serving people and let the people pay for the service, goods and service, or whatever it is. Or someone might say, my mountain is religion. It is encompassing praying for people, soothing people, guiding people, holding people's hands and let them make sense of this life and the afterlife and so on. That's your territory. That's your work. Okay? Someone else might say, my mountain or my work or my territory is children, and it is equipping these children so that they can be able to understand their potential, they can be able to exemplify their potential. The point I am making is, find your territory. That's where you're going to rule. You cannot be someone who, you don't have a brand. We don't know what you do. And don't hide. Let me tell you this, don't hide in your job title. Sometimes we hide in our job titles. Oh, I'm an accountant. See, when you say you're an accountant, you've not clarified what is the problem that you're solving. To whom are you solving that particular problem? What is your territory? This talks of the people for which your purpose is directed. What is your niche? What is your niche market? We normally call it niche market in marketing and in personal branding. What is your niche market? It's not everyone. It can be single women in Africa. That's even a much more granular niche. Okay, what is your territory? Who is it? We normally say, who is your avatar? Normally, when they tell you want to develop content, let's say for this podcast, whom is it directed to? This podcast, for the most part, is directed to people who have just come out of school and they're trying to figure out how to be able to navigate through life. That's a general view. I cannot say this podcast is for everyone. And make no mistake about it, an old person in their 70s can be blessed with this podcast. Okay? A young person, before they finish school, they can be motivated by this podcast. It doesn't mean that when I select my territory, I've said other people cannot. I'm just saying that is my primary audience. And in that particular area, I'm going to rule. In other words, when people are looking for who is the virtuoso, who is the genius, who is the go-to person in terms of motivating young people who have just come out of school, in terms of their work, in terms of their purpose, in terms of their productivity, my name is supposed to come up. That is how I am ruling. I am ruling through that particular territory. So these are not necessarily your subjects, but these are these are the when I'm talking about I'm ruling, these are not my subjects. These are people that I am serving. See the reverse. We talked extensively about how we've reversed ruling. You see the reverse here. I am not necessarily ruling by loading myself and ordering these people, this market, this territory. No, they are people that I am serving. They are the recipients of my value. Okay, I'm their servants, and by so doing, I am their servant, and by so doing, I am a true leader in that particular aspect. You see, I live for them. I wake up with them in my mind. I go to sleep with them in my mind. I see anything on social media that can be able to bless them, I curate it, I download it, I store it, I send it to them. I love to do exactly that. I am a ruler in that particular niche because I have selected my territory. So your work, however generalized you might feel it is, I think you need to go down to the details and find out who exactly is the beneficiary and what exactly is the problem that you're solving. What is this territory that you've identified? What is their problem? What are they going through? What is their point A? And how does their point B look like? What do you want to do so that they can move from point A to point B? Have you defined their point B? My problem with these people who are coming out of school is status quo. They have been discipled by the status quo to be so piped and so compliant. They are not themselves. They are not exemplifying their uniqueness. That's why I talk about purpose, being unique. And I say that you go back to your productivity. And I say that you earn from your purpose to your profit. That's why I have all these books and all these courses and so on that are leading them towards that particular area, point B. Because that is my territory, and in that territory, I am ruling. Tomorrow, we're going to continue talking about territory, but until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.